Lizzy grew up in a violent family, with her biological father being an abusive alcoholic. In a drunken rage, he killed Lizzy's mother. When he sobered up, the guilt consumed him, and he took his own life. I was Jane, 20 years old. Lizzy was my adoptive sister, taken in by my parents after her biological parents passed away. We grew up under the same roof, but Lizzy was always distant and withdrawn, no matter how hard I tried to get close to her. One day, my parents suggested a family trip, hoping it would help Lizzy heal after such a devastating loss.
Where would my precious daughter like to go?
I want to go to the beach. We haven't gone in so long, Dad. But I never imagined that a simple conversation would mark the beginning of a terrifying tragedy. That day, my parents attended a party and told us to prepare dinner ourselves. I planned to order food and wanted to ask Lizzy if she would like to eat with me.
Lizzy, I'm ordering dinner. Do you want anything?
There was no response. The door was unlocked, yet the room remained eerily silent. Hesitating for a moment, I pushed the door open, but Lizzy wasn't inside. It was my first time entering her room. Everything was neat and clean. My eyes landed on the desk, where an old diary lay neatly. On the cover, the word "die" was scrawled in bold red letters. A sense of unease rose within me, yet I couldn't stop myself from picking up the diary. Inside were grotesque, twisted drawings drenched in blood, horrifying and disturbing. Frightened, I quickly shut the book and tossed it back onto the desk. My heart pounded, my breath quickened. At that moment, I noticed another word carved deeply into the desk. Kill, with my name etched right next to it. My entire body froze. My breath became heavy. What was Lizzy trying to do? Suddenly, her cold voice rang out behind me.
Jane, who gave you permission to touch my things?
Startled, I turned around to see Lizzy's expressionless face staring at me. Lizzy, what is all this? Lizzy said coldly.
I hate you. I want you dead.
With that, she pulled a sharp knife from her pocket and lunged at me. I quickly dodged, but the blade still sliced deep into my arm, sending a sharp pain through me. Lizzy then kicked me hard in the back, making me fall onto the floor. She opened a drawer, pulled out a rope, and immediately pounced on me, pinning me down. Before I could react, my wrists and ankles were already bound tightly.
Why are you doing this to me?
I hate how happy you are. I hate your stupid, cheerful smile.
She dragged the blade across my cheek, the cold steel sending a chilling sensation through my skin. Lizzy, please stop. Everyone loves you.
Love! You have everything. Parents, vacations, attention. And me? I'm nothing but a discarded piece of trash.
No, Lizzy. We all want you to come with us on the trip.
Shut up! I don't need your pity.
My pleas only fueled her rage. She gripped the knife tightly and stabbed it deep into my thigh. A searing pain shot through my body, and I screamed in agony. Lizzy's fingers tightened around the knife handle, preparing to drive it down with all her strength. I truly thought that would be the last moment of my life. But just then, my mother's terrified scream shattered the air. Looking towards the door, I saw my parents standing there, their faces frozen in horror.
Lizzy, what are you doing?
Lizzy, put the knife down.
Don't come any closer or I'll kill her.
In an instant, my father lunged forward, grabbing Lizzy's wrist and struggling to pry the knife from her grip. Lizzy suddenly bit down hard on my father's hand, making him yelp in pain and loosen his grip. Taking advantage of the moment, she broke free and turned towards me, eyes burning with madness. My father quickly grabbed her from behind, wrapping his arms around her tightly. She thrashed violently, screaming.
Lizzy, my love, please stop.
Lizzy suddenly froze, turning to look at my mother. Her grip on the knife loosened, and it clattered to the floor. Perhaps, at that moment, she remembered her biological mother, the only person who had ever truly loved her. After that day, my parents took Lizzy to see a psychiatrist. She was diagnosed with severe psychological disorders caused by past trauma, so she had to stay at the hospital for treatment. What Lizzy did to me was painful, but I never once hated her. In fact, I felt even more sorry for her. I only wished for our family to be whole again someday.
Mary, a first-year journalism student, is 19 years old this year. Before, she was always an energetic and cheerful person with a bright smile on her face. However, after a major incident 2 years ago, Mary changed. She became more subdued, often sitting alone, rarely interacting with others. The story begins 2 years ago when Mary was 17 years old. Her father unexpectedly received a notice that he had to transfer to another province for work. Mary's family had just moved into this house to make it more convenient for her father's job.
Your room is on the second floor. I help you move your luggage.
This house is beautiful and spacious, isn't it, Mom? Oh, this room is beautiful!
This room isn't cleaned up yet. And this mirror, Mom, please call a worker to take it down later.
In the room, there was a large mirror hanging on the wall opposite the bed. This mirror had a brown wooden frame that looked very classic. But strangely, it also looked brand new, not a scratch on it. Mary walked over and smiled at her reflection in the mirror. Suddenly, she caught a glimpse of a shadow quickly passing by in the mirror. Startled, she looked closely again, but all she saw was her normal reflection. A strange feeling crept over her, but Mary didn't think much of it. Perhaps she was just fatigued after the long move and was seeing things.
No need, Mom. I think this mirror is still usable. Just leave it here, Mom.
All right, then I'll go to the kitchen to cook, and you clean up by yourself.
Mary walked up to the mirror and looked at it again. A strange feeling made it impossible for her to look away. She stood there silently for an unknown amount of time until her mother's voice echoed from outside the door.
Mary, have you finished cleaning up? Mary, what's wrong with you? Why haven't you cleaned up yet? I've already finished cooking.
I'm a bit tired.
During their first meal after moving to the new house, Mary's father suddenly said,
Mary, next year you'll be going to university. Focus on studying. Don't get too caught up in playing anymore.
I know, you don't need to worry about it. I can handle it myself.
I know your academic performance is good, but you can't be complacent. The university entrance exam is very difficult now.
You're talking too much. I'm going to my room.
That night, Mary was sleeping when she suddenly heard someone calling her.
Mary, 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 Mary. Mary, 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 Mary.
Mary looked at herself in the mirror with a tired face. She felt that the person in the mirror looked a bit different. She saw another girl resembling herself in the mirror, calling her name.
Mary, Mary.
Who are you? Why are you in my room?
I am you. You are me.
No! No way! You get out of my house!
Mary jumped up on the bed, gasping for breath. She looked around and realized she was still in her familiar room, with warm rays of sunlight filtering through the old window frame.
What is happening? Was it just a dream?
She looked at the mirror on the wall. It still lay there quietly. Nothing unusual.
It was just a nightmare.
Mary stood in front of the mirror, staring at her reflection. Suddenly, the image in the mirror changed, and she saw the girl from last night. Her face was pale, but her bloodshot eyes stared intently at her.
Wait! We meet again! Mary, you can't run away! We are one!
No, you're lying!
Can't you see? The two of us are one?
No, I can't be you! No way!
You can't escape, Mary.
Stay away from me! Don't come near me!
Mary, we are one. You exist, so I exist too. If you disappear, I will disappear as well. Stab your hand, Mary. If you die, you won't see me anymore. Come on, Mary, just do it.
Hearing a loud noise coming from her room, Mary's parents hurried over. They were horrified by the scene before them.
Mary, what are you doing?
She's following me! She's really scary! You have to make her disappear!
Who is she? What's wrong with you?
She's here! She won't leave you alone!
Mary's father hurriedly took her to the hospital. Sitting on the hospital bed, Mary fearfully curled up in a corner, her mouth continuously mumbling.
Don't come near me! Don't come near me!
Her parents looked at their daughter's strange behavior and realized something was terribly wrong. The next morning, Mary's father invited a well-known fortune teller from the area.
Your daughter is being followed by a demon residing in the mirror. It is a spirit that has existed for hundreds of years. Although the mirror has been destroyed, the demon still lingers in this house.
What should we do to save our daughter now? Please help us.
I will pay any price you want, as long as you can save our daughter.
Wear this talisman. It will temporarily protect you. Tomorrow, I will come to perform a ritual to drive it away. But whether it will be successful or not still depends on your determination.
Mary, follow me. You will no longer have to be afraid.
Never! I will not let you have your way!
Mary, give me your hand. Only I can help you escape this fear.
I will not be afraid of you anymore! I will never follow your words again!
Mary, do you think that old man can help you defeat me? I will devour your soul, and you will belong to me forever. You will never live in peace, Mary. I will haunt you for life.
The demon has vanished. It's all over now, Mary.
From that moment on, Mary never dared to look in the mirror again. Although the demon had disappeared, the fear would probably follow her for the rest of her life. After this story, I hope you will be careful with old mirrors because they might be holding a demon's soul.
Living with strangers carries a lot of risks. I almost lost my life just because I decided to live with a stranger. I am Neo, 23 years old, and I had just moved into a small apartment near my workplace. Because I wanted to save costs, I posted an ad on Facebook looking for a roommate. Not long after, a guy named Justin contacted me. He seemed cold and quiet, but I thought that would help avoid trouble, so I agreed to let him stay. Although we lived in the same apartment, Justin and I rarely ran into each other. During the day, he always stayed in his room with the door closed, only going out in the evening and usually returning very late at night. One night, I was thirsty, so I went to the living room to get a drink. I saw Justin coming back, holding a black plastic bag, and there was a long scratch on his face that was still bleeding. I asked Justin, with a surprised tone.
Why are you back so late? What's wrong with your face?
Justin looked at me coldly and said,
"It's okay. I had something I needed to do."
Justin gave me a curt reply and quietly walked into the room. I found him a bit puzzling, but I didn't pay much attention. The next evening, Justin hurriedly left, but his door was still ajar. I stood up to help him close the door, but suddenly smelled a stench like blood. I curiously pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was pitch dark. Groping for the switch next to the door, I turned on the light, and the room was instantly filled with brightness. A horrifying scene lay before me. On the table lay a dagger and a rough rope stained with dried blood. My heart suddenly pounded, and a cold shiver ran down my spine. On the wall, a whiteboard was covered with images of women, each marked with red pen strokes. My gaze unconsciously drifted down to the bottom of the trash can, and out of curiosity, I pulled it out, only to be horrified to discover a pair of pupils seemingly glaring at me. I felt a chill run down my spine, but before I could react, footsteps echoed outside the door. Justin coldly looked at me and said,
"What are you doing here?"
I pushed Justin's hand away, nervously stepping back.
These are the people who have been reported missing on the news these past few days. You killed them!
They all deserve to die.
I nervously stepped back and looked at Justin, saying,
You're a murderer. I'm calling the police.
Justin smirked coldly.
Then let's see if you can get out of here.
He suddenly delivered a strong kick to my stomach. My whole body was thrown back, staggering before I felt hard. My back, hitting the edge of the table, accidentally brushed against the knife on the table, and I hurriedly grabbed it and lunged towards Justin. But he quickly seized my wrist and tightened his grip. I gritted my teeth and put all my strength into kicking Justin's shin. He groaned, bending down in pain, and I immediately turned around to run. Justin quickly regained his balance and lunged forward, kicking me hard in the back. I lost control, staggered, and fell heavily onto the floor. As soon as I turned around to get up, he rushed at me, pinning me down and throwing a series of punches at my face. I shouted angrily,
Murderer, let me go now!
Justin angrily replied,
What do you know? They deserve to die. Traitors, liars. Just like my mother. She deceived my father, betrayed our family and Kia, and caused his death.
His every word felt like a sharp, cold blade slicing through the air. I stood frozen, my heart pounding. I tried to stay calm and replied,
Do you think doing this will be good for you? Or will it only make that obsession haunt you forever?
Justin froze, his grip on my collar unconsciously loosening. A flicker of hesitation flashed in his eyes. I seized the opportunity, mustering all my strength to break free. I shoved him aside, desperately trying to escape his grasp, but Justin quickly caught on to my intention. He reached out and grabbed my ankle, sending a sharp pain shooting through my calf. Horrified, I realized that the blade in his hand had pierced deep into my flesh. A searing pain spread through my body, forcing me to collapse. Justin glared at me and said through gritted teeth,
I didn't want to kill you, but you already know too much.
He tightened his grip on the knife, slowly stepping toward me. My heart clenched, and my breath grew unsteady. I looked at him in fear and pleaded,
Justin, stop before it's too late.
Justin looked at me with disappointment and said,
I can't turn back anymore.
Just as the blade was mere inches from me, the door suddenly burst open. Police stormed in, their guns aimed directly at Justin. A police officer aimed his gun and shouted,
Drop the weapon! Hands up now!
The police rushed in, handcuffing Justin before dragging him out of the apartment. His face was pale, and his empty eyes glanced over me one last time. My breath was still unsteady, my heart pounding wildly in my chest. Just a few seconds later, and I might not have existed in this world anymore. Everything had finally come to an end, but my heart still felt heavy. It was like a nightmare I couldn't escape from.
I never used to believe in ghosts, But that no longer mattered after what I had experienced. Hello, my name is Doris. I am 25 years old, and the story I am about to tell has haunted me ever since. Back then, my mother fell seriously ill and had to be hospitalized. Worried about her, I stayed at the hospital to take care of her. She was placed in an old room at the end of the hallway. The doctors didn't want her to stay there, but the hospital had run out of rooms. I didn't think much of it. After all, every hospital had old rooms, didn't they? But on the very first night I stayed, I began to feel that something was wrong. As I was about to close my eyes, a strange sound came from the bathroom. At first, it was just a light movement, as if someone inside was trying to open the door. But then, it turned faster, stronger, until the door burst open with a loud click. I swallowed hard and stepped forward to check. There was no sign that anyone had just been in there. Shaking my head, I told myself that I was just too tired and imagining things. But just as I turned away, a sob echoed. A faint, mournful sound that sent chills down my spine. It came from the very same bathroom. My heart pounded as I looked back inside. Yet there was no one there. When I glanced at the mirror above the sink, I saw a child. Pale skin, hollow eyes, weeping blood. Suddenly, a chorus of laughter rang out, filling the room as if dozens of children were laughing at once. I stumbled back, my heart racing, and hastily flipped the light switch. The boy and the laughter vanished. At that moment, the door to the room swung open. A pregnant nurse walked in to check my mother's temperature. She was thin, her face pale, and her uniform looked worn as if it had been used for a long time. I glanced at the clock on the wall, feeling strange. Wasn't it too late for rounds? The nurse smiled gently and said,
"Hello, I'm here to check the patient's temperature."
I returned her smile and asked, "I see, but you're still working this late?" She smiled again.
It's our responsibility after all.
As she took my mother's temperature, she told me a story about this room. She said that about 10 years ago, a nurse had secretly aborted her child in that very bathroom. Overcome with guilt, she had jumped out of the window. Her body was found in the parking lot the next morning. Hearing this, I immediately told her about what I had seen earlier in the bathroom. She listened, then smiled and said,
"Perhaps the boy was the spirit of the unborn child."
I quickly asked, "How do you know that?" She chuckled and said,
"I made it up."
With that, she left the room, leaving me in suffocating silence. Just then, I noticed a drop of blood slowly trailing down her leg. Panicked, I rushed to the door, intending to call her back, but the hallway was empty. Not a soul, not a single sound. I stood frozen, a chill creeping down my spine, making the hairs on my neck stand on end. When I returned to the room, my mother was fast asleep. I lay down on my bed, but no matter how much I tried, I couldn't sleep. The night dragged on, each tiny noise making me jump, until I finally saw the first light of dawn. When the doctor came to check on my mother, I told him everything that had happened the night before. He listened, his eyes thoughtful but not surprised. Then he said slowly,
"There have been many rumors about this room, but there is no pregnant nurse working at our hospital."
My chest tightened, my mind swirling with confusion. Then who was she? A shiver ran through me. Could she have been the nurse who had aborted her child and jumped from the window? The following days, everything seemed to return to normal until my mother was discharged. As I helped her out of the room, I instinctively turned back, and I saw the nurse standing by the window, holding a baby in her arms. Panicked, I rubbed my eyes, but when I looked again, she was gone, as if she had never been there.